You've seen how Power BI has some built-in mapping capabilities to allow you to visualize geographic data. But we also have an integration to ESRI's ArcGIS product. This is another visual type that allows you to use both your own geographic data, but also combine it with data from ESRI's service. So, for example, I'm going to visualize here some insurance data and some storm issue data from around Florida. And you can see using their visualization, the default is kind of this bubble map, very similar to the one that ships out of the box with Power BI. But there are a whole bunch of different options that you get by using ESRI's visual instead. For a start, they have some extra selection methods that allow you to draw a rectangle around certain products to select them and highlight them. And you'll see in the same way that you would do with any other visual, you get cross-highlighting and cross-filtering happening alongside everything else, all the other visuals on in your report. But I've also got a whole range of different options to format and theme this visual in different ways. So for a start, I can change the base map. We have kind of this dark grey visualization. I can even use OpenStreetMap or the ESRI Streets view. And these give us just different styles of map that have varying levels of detail that might be useful for you. I'm going to stick with this light grey one. I can choose different ways of visualizing the individual points or individual data that I want to plot. So either as points or as boundaries. So if I had things like zip codes, I'd be able to draw those shapes, or if I had state outlines, I'd be able to draw those too. I could also do things like changing the theme. So individual points will be shown just as locations or sized bubbles if we've got some value that we want to plot. I can cluster these as well. So here I've got a really high number of points on this map, but I can split it up into these clusters, which help kind of identify where the larger values or the larger groups of values are. So I can see there's a lot centered here around Orlando, and as I zoom in, those clusters will get split up. And when there's enough space between them, we'll see individual points as well. I can also use this heat map view. And this does an overlay of all of those different points and colors them, again, based on the kind of the clusters of data in here. And this is using the ArcGIS service to render all of these data points into this kind of heat map view. Let's leave that on size for now as well. I can control the symbols that are being used to show these. So I can control kind of transparencies and how we want to show those bubbles, what sort of the minimum and maximum sizes are. So I've got a lot of control over exactly how these things are plotted. But I think one of the most exciting things that you can do here is add reference layers. So as well as having the individual points that come from your own data, you can mash this up with other data from ESRI. So they have some basic demographic data for the USA out of the box, things like household incomes or income per capita for different states and counties and even cities within those. And adding them is as simple as choosing the area that you're interested in, and you'll see that starts to get plotted behind your own points. And again, as I zoom in and out, those things adapt and adjust sensibly. So when you're zoomed out all the way, you'll see state outlines, and as you get further in, you'll see county or even city outlines instead. But I can also add totally custom reference layers from the ArcGIS catalog. So if I've published your own up there, you'd be able to pull those in. And in fact, we've done something similar here where we've got some data about storm surges. Now, obviously, when I'm looking at insurance data like this, storm surge risk areas or historical storm surges are going to be something that's really important when I'm comparing these policies. So let's choose one of these. And again, I can choose to add that as a reference layer. And we can see now that we've got different areas drawn underneath these points to show spots where there were high or low storm surges. So I can see there's a lot of our insurance policies around this area, but let's try, one of the things we can do here is to actually select, using that reference layer, just the points within that area. So when I click on this blue area, you see just the points that are relevant to this area get highlighted. And of course, the same cross-highlighting applies as you'd expect from any other visual. So I can focus on, this red area is one of the highest risk areas, but how many of these policies are actually within that location? Well, it turns out it's just that one. So that's probably not an area that we need to worry about. But this area over here, we've got a high number of policies within that region. And I can use ESRI's understanding of geography and how these shapes are overlaid to help me with this sort of analysis. So it's a really, really, really powerful mapping technology from ESRI built right here into Power BI Desktop.